stand, it is Manchester United 1, Forest 0. We defeat Nottingham Forest at the City Ground in the FA Cup. We are through to a quarter-final draw at home against Liverpool to be played either on the 16th or 17th of March, and I cannot wait for it. Bring Liverpool on. That's going to get clipped up. But anyway, I mean, it was a huge game tonight. Okay, yeah, again, we find ourselves saying the football wasn't great, but we scraped through, and that's exactly what we needed to do. Kev, before the show, we were speaking on the build-up show, me, Ricky and Mordzs, and we were saying, you know what, anything will do, and we'd rather play maybe a little bit more conservative, and because we can nick a goal in here and there. And I feel like that's what happened tonight a little bit, maybe. Yeah,
thoroughly agree with it. If you look before the game, you'd have to say that come this evening at this time of the evening, the name Manchester United has to be in the hat. We have done the business, but as we are here on the United stand when it comes to kind of analysis and breaking it down, we will have to do that. And I think, listen, it's brilliant. I'm really glad. What a good cup run. This was last chance saloon, you could say, for Eric Ten Hag. A lot of people making the Mark Robins kind of, what do you call it, sort of comparison today. The fact that somebody might score the goal that saves him his job. The vultures are kind of circling at Old Trafford. We've seen the way that the media work. Everybody's ready to sort of go all in on Eric Ten Hag. So this is a massive win. But again, the performance, I think it probably leaves us asking more questions and getting probably more answers this evening more than anything, I'd say. We look at it and a lot of the so-called bigger players did not turn up. But again, listen, I don't want to be too negative at this moment in time because I'm just happy that we're in the draw for the next round.
Yeah, exactly. That was the main thing tonight, is getting through the draw and getting into the next round. I mean, Mordzs, Eric Ten Hag needed something. Was there an argument that Man United should have had a penalty and a sending off as well for Nottingham Forest?
Did I send off right at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think because it was so late in the game, I don't think the referee kind of, I mean, they were out anyway. So.
And what about the penalty on Rashford?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really usually like to do the whole like, oh, if this, da-da-da-da. We had great opportunities to put the game away regardless. So I think there is an argument, but I don't know. If we're talking about the game overall, I think we should have had the game done and dusted from the first 20 minutes, to be fair. I think we had some very good chances to find it, to completely just put Nottingham Forest away. So I guess, yeah, there could have been a red card, but again, like I said, that was later in the game anyway.
We've got to say on the Bruno one, I'm sorry, but we've seen this happen. Was it Hughes against Crystal Palace? It shouldn't care, exactly, it shouldn't care if it's one hand, two hands. It was one hand. How VAR looks at that and decides, well, it wasn't even a booking, was it? It was just like, oh, it's just
play on.
United, let's just play on.
I think they're not allowed to say it's a booking, no, are they? I don't get that, mate. Yeah. When you're looking at a screen, what does it matter if you tell the ref, oh, it's a yellow card? Yeah. It doesn't take any more time, does it?
If that's Casemiro in the white shirt of United this evening, he goes to prison for a year, deported back to Brazil and all that. It's crazy.
The one he did on Hughes
no consistency
in the Palace game when he got sent off, I thought was less aggressive than the one that was tonight.
Yeah, because he was restraining him.
This one he was actually going for him. So VAR is a load. I mean, it's been terrible this season, let's be honest. But anyway, welcome everybody who is joining over from Mark's final score. I heard there was some very controversial ratings on there. We might be going through some of them in a little bit. And also, I can tell you, breaking news, everyone. Mark Goldbridge gave Andre Onana man of the match. So He must be doing something right. He must be doing something right. But let's talk a little bit about the first half, Ricky. I mean, Mainu was dropped to the bench. Obviously, we feel like he was being rested. Evans, we heard, had a bit of an injury beforehand, so it was Lindelof for Varane. I mean, what did you think about McTominay in that role? Because I said personally in this game, for me, McTominay's best position is a super sub. The experiment is over. When he starts, he doesn't really offer much. But what was your thoughts on it? Because I know you're a big fan.
A big fan? I always just say he's better than people say. That's all I say.
Come on, you're a big fan.
You're a huge fan, Ricky. Come on.
He's better than people say. He's a decent player.
That's how you know McTominay's had a poor game. When Ricky kind of guides away from being a big fan of him.
Yeah, he didn't have his best game. He had an average game, but You just want to speak about Matt Tomlin.
You can speak about whatever you want to speak about, Ricky.
He had an average game, but we got the job done. You know, we were winning 1-0 when he came off with a minute to go, weren't we? So what's it? You know what I mean? We haven't been playing particularly well, I don't think. If you want me to speak about the game itself, well, as you've just said to Kev, we were more solid and we didn't concede as many chances. I don't know what the shots, we've been speaking earlier, haven't we, about how many shots we concede, 17, 18, 19, 22. I don't know how many shots Forest had tonight. At the same time, I'm not keen on them stats anyway, because the better teams pass the ball around more and don't shoot from stupid positions. So even though I could use that stat, I don't know what the stat is. Say Forest only had 10 shots tonight. I could say, well, we were a bit more solid because they only had 10 shots. But if Forest wanted to shoot from some stupid positions, they could have had 20 shots, you know what I mean? So it's a catch-22 situation. But we certainly looked, as we spoke about before the game, that we looked a more solid outfit, I thought. I didn't feel as though they were going to score every time they got the ball like I have been doing in certain games recently.
Yeah, I mean, I want to move on to a quick point I wanted to bring up at the start, and I wrote this down actually during the game to bring it up on the forum. Alan Shearer pulled no punches on Marcus Rashford's body language on the commentary, if everyone heard that. He said, you know, obviously he's not going to get too many chances, but there was a situation where Rashford had pulled out to the left-hand side to try and hold up the ball, and I was like, oh great, he's actually trying to hold up the ball. You know, I know he's centre forward, isn't his position. And Alan Shearer kind of really goes in on him saying, why has he thrown his arms up in the air? That's his problem this season. He's been too much like that, blaming everyone else instead of looking himself in the mirror sort of thing. Kev, did you think, was that a situation where you thought, oh, finally someone's saying it in mainstream? Did you disagree with him? How did you feel about that?
The reason I kind of threw my hands in the air then was because we were on this show, what was it, last Saturday on the forum? And it was no different to what I said about Marcus Rashford. The difference is I'm on the United stand, and that Saturday evening, the barrage of abuse I got, don't get me wrong, there was a lot of people that kind of agreed with me.
Very mixed
talking
facts.
Some of really, really horrendous. And I'm looking, thinking, what have I said here? So I very rarely watch shows back. I thought, I've got to listen back, you know, I've said something here that I've not even realised I've said. It was exactly more or less what even Wayne Rooney at half-time said Rashford needs to move more. I said last Saturday after the Fulham match, body language shocking. I said I'm not a body language expert, but I said he doesn't look interested. Brought up a few things saying maybe in the summer a move might be best for all parties. I've heard people on TalkSport today, ex-pundits, saying the exact same thing that I was saying. I'm not bigging it up, but I'm saying, obviously in the United stand, people seem to think, oh, toxic, you know, they come out, it's an agenda. It's not an agenda. We're reacting to things that we're seeing that have happened in front of our eyes, yet yeah, I get it, you know, if the likes of Wayne Rooney or whoever it is in the mainstream media say it, everybody's, oh, Alan Shearer, it's like, yeah, it's gospel, you know, oh yeah, I can see that, yeah, he doesn't look interested, but for me, it's just like, bang on, it's something I said last week, totally agree with it.
Yeah, Kev, I'm going to be honest, I thought what you said was absolutely fine. I mean, it's one of them where not everyone's going to agree that's the way the world works. But Mordzs, I know you're quite a big Rashford fan, so what did you make of what he said? Did you agree?
Are you a big fan?
I will tell you you're a fan. You are a big fan of Rashford.
I think he's better than other people. That he's no. Okay. He asked me about what.
Yeah, these Shearer's comments. What do you make of them? Because obviously, I've always liked Rashford, and I'm not going to lie, when I see that body language, it kind of does disappoint me.
Yeah, I think my main problem with it is, one, it doesn't set a good example to other players. Being one of the, I say senior, he is 27, but he's been there the longest. He's a senior player, he's been there the longest out of every single player. I don't know of any other 13 player that's been there longer than him. I'm pretty sure he's been there the longest. But yeah, he's been there for so long, and he is an example or a role model to a lot of the younger players. He has to be. I mean, naturally, he's a academy player. He's gone through all the steps that all these younger players are going to be going through. So they're going to be looking at him and most likely looking up to him as a like I said, as a role model as to what they should be like if they want to get to that height of being a footballer. So that's one thing that I don't like about it. And I'd say another thing is the fact that when you're playing as a team player, you kind of have to be able to motivate everybody else, even if you're not playing well. And I feel like when you're throwing your hands up and stuff like that, it makes everybody else feel like they're doing something wrong. And I feel like that lowers the confidence of the rest of the team. I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm just overthinking it, but if I'm another player, and let's say I'm pressing and Rashford's pressing, and I might not get to my player as quickly as he does, and he starts throwing his hands with him, it'll make me feel like, oh, like I'm not doing good enough or whatnot. And I feel like that kind of, it demotivates the rest of the other players in the team.
He got on Matt's player ratings this evening. He got the lowest rating of 3.7. Do you think that was a fair rating?
3.7. That is a bit harsh. I mean, one thing I say about Rashford, him playing down the middle, yeah, obviously he doesn't pick his position, but I don't think he would prefer to play there. And playing someone out of their position and then they have a bad game, it's a bit unfair to say, oh, you're playing bad. But I don't want to play there.
He's not a centre forward. It's like playing Amrabat at left back.
Yeah.
It's really harsh to judge it. But the only thing is his effort and work rate is what we expected more. To be fair, I thought he ran more in this game than he did in the Fulham game, but that wasn't really hard. But still, not enough for me.
Yeah.
Just not enough aggression really, and still would need a bit more. But in really damning player rating there, and I think people will be watching.
But it was like against Fulham. I'd seen that tweet that somebody sent you. You were on about Rashford, and they said, if it's Højlund, he's not getting the service, and then if it's Rashford, it's lack of effort. And I was like, well, it is, because any United fan, anybody that watched United against Fulham last week, there was a lack of effort. And the one thing you cannot fault Højlund for is a lack of effort. As I said last week, he gets his goal against Luton because he puts on the burners and he anticipates something happening, but Rashford won't do that. But at the same time, he's not a number 9 at Manchester United. Well,
Højlund's so important for our press as well. He starts the whole press. Rashford's pressing is really poor, I'm not going to lie. And then following up with that is Bruno, Garnacho and Antony, and it just wasn't working. Our press was basically pointless today, I'm not going to lie. Forest just kept passing through it, and I think Højlund's so important for that, and like you said, effort as well. So Mario Franco said, our players tend to run before thinking, Russia's FC. Butter says, sorry, but if we put ourselves in a better position to score, Bruno wouldn't have to shoot from silly distances. # Bruno is our best player. Wayne Finnegan says, yes, Kev, you're legend. Get the Casemiro song going. Do you want to go do a little sing-song for us, Kev?
Let's go.
Do you want it, yeah?
Yeah, I want it.
Yeah. He's Casemiro. He's our Brazilian hero in the red and the white. He's gonna be strong and he's gonna be fast and he's gonna make City look shite. That was actually, that worked very well, that. That's a great super chat.
I love the improv, Kev.
Yeah, with City coming up at the weekend as well. Bring it on.
Son Heung-min says, Beth, thanks for finally going on that date with me. I had a lovely time last night. I'm coming to United in the summer now. I hate to tell you something there, but
different Beth.
That's a different Beth for you. I'm sorry to say. Mahid says, arrest Bruno, he looks so drained. Well, Ten Hag did mention that he thought Forest targeted Bruno and that Bruno did really well to play today because he was injured before the game. So, I mean, he'll run through brick walls for United, you can't doubt that. But yeah, I think he does need a bit of a break. Jack says, all players are 2 at best, and that's generous. And then we've got Siraj, a member for 10 months. I saw a substandard football game, be it a performance or strategy or refereeing, and VAR is shite that we know. What was VAR doing checking the offside? God knows. Umzi says, you heard of Adriana Shetnik, a young superstar? I've not seen, but I'll have a look now you've put that super chat in. Pilarski says, Beth, terrible performance. Seems our fans are celebrating mediocrity and accepting any result no matter how it's achieved. Thoughts? Keel Robinson says, I honestly would prefer Weghorst over Rashford. I think the majority of the people would at this point. It is a centre forward. And John Habibi says, so 350k a week and shows no effort. It is a fair rating in my opinion. We'll get to some super chats in a bit. Thank you everyone for moving them in. Get in the chat down below. Who do you prefer as a centre forward, Weghorst or Rashford? And I'll see what the chat is saying. But I want to talk a little bit about Antony now. Antony gets a load of stick. Sorry, just to reply to that super chat before, how we're celebrating mediocrity. I think everyone here can say it was a really poor performance again. But we're through in the FA Cup and that's all that matters. Right now, we're in the middle.
That's why I said at the beginning, it's a performance that again leaves more kind of questions than answered more than anything. But I didn't want to be kind of too negative. But at the same time, this has been United all season. So I think this is the United we've kind of come to expect, haven't we? We call it smash and grab, call it whatever you want. But we've not really been playing well. But somehow in games we've got over the line, haven't we?
I mean, I'll be honest, I wasn't too surprised at the performances today. The only surprise that I'd have is, one, I think Lindelof actually played better than I thought he was going to play. I thought he was going to be a bit shaky there, but other than that...
He looked better in his suited centre-back role, didn't he, for sure?
Other than that, I knew what Rashford was going to be like. I knew what McTominay was going to be like. I knew kind of what Amrabat was going to be like. I wasn't too surprised. Again, Onana, he surprised me a bit. He definitely had a great game. Other than that, I kind of knew what United were going to be like tonight. So, yeah, it wasn't too surprising, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about Antony, because Antony gets a lot of stick, and to be fair, rightly so in a lot of cases, because he has been really poor this season. But, Ricky, am I fair in saying he was our best forward tonight? Whether that standard was pretty low, which it was, but was he our best forward tonight?
Without a shadow of a doubt. Not that I agree with a lot of what Mordzs just said, but I think what we're expecting, or what we hope from United, is that we can take the game to people and sort of run people ragged, get round the back, create loads of course, this is the old Manchester United that I remember, get round the back a lot, create loads of chances, and that's what we think our forwards are for, which is what your forwards usually are for a big club. But in a game, in a team like ours at the minute, it's as much about your defence. I said this, anybody who saw the pre-show, I said Antony needs to be in the game against City. I said maybe not tonight, because this was before I knew what the team was. I said maybe not tonight because it's Forest, no disrespect to Forest, but at weekend when we've got City, Antony needs to play because his defensive capabilities are better than Garnacho and better than Rashford. I know Rashford might be at number 9, obviously. But the usual players who play on the flank, work rate wise, defensive capabilities wise, Antony is easily the best of the 3. And even though that wasn't what I was looking for tonight, really, I was hoping to be more on the front foot, it didn't work out like that. So when I say Antony was the best player, he wasn't so much any better in the attacking
I
part.
think he put a few decent through balls
he
through
did,
to
but there's not a lot in it. Maybe. But certainly he was the best of the 3 because of his work rate, because of his defensive capabilities. There was one particular instance in the first half where Alanga breezed past somebody in the box and he raced back. He was already racing back, as he would never have caught him, but he caught Alanga up and won a goal kick on the dead ball line that I could never imagine certainly Rashford and probably not Garnacho doing, you know what I mean? So, yeah, his work rate and everything, he was easily the pick of the front 3, easily.
But
Kev, would you start him against City?
I understand what Ricky's saying, work rate-wise, that you're going to need somebody who's definitely going to be disciplined and drop in, and it's whether it's in the final third, isn't it? Everybody's going to look at the 90 million or whatever we paid for him, and you're expecting great things from him. Obviously, there's been stories this week, haven't there, that United might be looking to, well, it's going to be seriously cut price if you are going to sell him in the summer, but I've got to say, I was slightly surprised to see him come off today. I think we all kind of looked, didn't we? Because we were thinking, who's Amag going to come on for? And although it seems like the obvious kind of substitution, I think confidence-wise, I certainly didn't hear a mention of an injury, but you think this is Ten Hag's guy, he's brought him from Ajax, he spoke in the build-up about he's doing well in training and it's all about confidence with him, how great he was at Ajax. And yet he kind of brought him off, and he did, again, I'm not a body language expert, but Antony coming off looked disappointed. And it's not a big thing to say that Antony was, the best of the front 3, because I think Rashford was awful and Garnacho not great as well. So, but not much better, but better, yeah. So it's.
I think the reasoning behind it for Ten Hag is, even though I thought Antony at all-rounder was the best out of the front 3, and I actually agree with you, Ricky, which is crazy. I would start him against City purely for the defensive capabilities. And he actually keeps the ball quite well. He doesn't give it away as much as maybe some other players do, but. I mean,
what are the other options going to be then?
I'm clutching massive straws, but the one thing I would say is why I think he brought him off other than Garnacho and Rashford is because realistically at that point we were drawing, we needed a goal. Who's more likely to get you a goal out of nothing? Rashford or Garnacho or Antony? And Rashford and Garnacho are better like going for goal like they are. So that's why I think it was. But a bit of news coming in, which is not great. Bruno Fernandes was limping after he left the stadium today. Ten Hag confirmed that he had a serious injury after the Fulham game, but still played through it today.
A serious injury?
That's what he said. But still played through it today. And you could see what I thought. I mean, the game's a game, but Forest kept going for him, kept nibbling at him. They knew what they were doing. It was a game plan, wasn't it? And you know what? All's fair, you know, love and war, whatever they say, like you're on a football pitch. But it was an obvious target. So, Mordzs, like, how much of a... do you think Bruno will play at City? I think he still will play.
I hope so. I mean, I don't know how serious that...
He's fully limping. I've seen the video.
Oh, is he? I mean, yeah, me personally, I'd hope so. Just because, I mean, the talks before the game was who could even replace him in that midfield. And really, truly, the only real name that could replace him was McTominay. And after today, I hope no one still thinks that, genuinely.
No.
I hope nobody still thinks McTominay can replace Bruno in that position, because he definitely can't. So, genuinely, I really hope he can play, because that's going to be a huge miss.
You tell me now, come on, you wouldn't have McTominay in Bruno's position?
Every day of the week.
Oh, Ricky, go away.
He'd start him in the Manchester derby, wouldn't he? Ricky would have McTominay in there.
Mordzs can't cope.
McTominay
we've got to
work.
We've got to work hard. We've got to get behind the ball. We've got to be solid. I've got no problem with it whatsoever. We've got a chance against City. Without Bruno, I won't be concerned one little bit.
Has Ten Hag used that word, a serious injury? Or is that...
It just says on the tweet, Bruno Fernandes was limping after he left the stadium today. Ten Hag confirmed that he had a serious injury after the Fulham game, but
Can't
still
have been a
played through it.
serious injury, can it?
Well,
Today.
The minute I heard it before, I'm thinking, if it's a serious injury, you don't risk him then against, Forest.
He's obviously, look, he's lost in translation, isn't it? It's not his first language, is it? It's not a serious injury. Means you're out for a while, straight away. Yeah. Never mind starting tonight and coming off.
It's just. It's one of them. McTominay for me is either playing at centre forward or on the bench. He's not playing in Bruno's position. I think Bruno should play. So this is the actual quote. I've just been sent it. You saw Forest were targeting him. I don't say what it is, injury, but it was a serious injury. Social media criticise him. It is pathetic. He has a very high pain threshold. It shows his leadership. Go on, Ten Hag, back in your captain. And he's absolutely right, by the way. Social media were showing that 3-second clip of Bruno over and over again, of him going down for that injury and then getting back up and being like, oh, get him out of my club and all this. And I said, if you were in the ground, you would have seen he was hobbling till the end of that game. And then he nearly misses this game through injury and he plays through it again and people are questioning his commitment. Bruno might have had a really poor season. I admit that as a Bruno fan he has. But you can't question his commitment to Manchester United. So let's leave that at that. But yeah. Anyway.
Probably shows just how much pressure Erik Ten Hag's under as well. If it's lost in translation or whatever he's saying about it's a serious injury, even if he's carrying, let's say, a bad injury, which was kind of evident this evening, I think it just shows how much of a difficult week he's had, because he's probably looked at this game today. Everybody knows it's our last chance of silverware, and he's probably thought, I need my captain, and let's face it, there's nobody else that can play in that position at this moment in time. Yeah. I think we're all hoping Mount can come back in and challenge him for this spot, but at this moment in time, there's kind of nobody, is there? He's probably thought, I need this player to play today. We need to get through this game. But again, so risky, because if he does, miss the Manchester derby now for the sake of, an FA Cup game against Nottingham Forest, then it could be huge.
I think the FA Cup's more important, to be honest. I see us losing City anyway, and that sounds horrible to say.
And maybe Ten Hag's looked at it like that and thought, I need to get through in this cup. Last chance of silverware.
Let's put a poll in the chat. Would you play Bruno against City? Let's get that poll going and see what people say. Because I know there's a lot of mixed reviews on Bruno at the moment. Got loads of super chats to go through dead quickly, and then we're going to go to Amrabat. Jim says, no Bruno, good. Play Casemiro, Amrabat and Menu. The angry something, I can't see the full name here, says, can we silence the Scooby criticism? Bruno had 4 turnovers in the first half. Scott looked right today. Once in a blue moon, but nonetheless. Don't agree with you, to be honest, but fair enough. Sander says, Beth, you did say a winner at 88th minute. Did you? Was the winner at the 88th minute today?
Yeah, it was.
I said that on the build-up show. Call me psychic, if that's right.
Mystic Beth?
I'm actually going to have a look. I didn't even notice that at the time. Man United versus Forest. It was the 89th minute, the Casemiro goal.
Wow,
you know what?
Close.
That is I should have put a bet on.
If you'd have put a bet on, you'd have lost.
Oh, yeah. I should have said no.
That's how hard it is, gambling. That's how hard it is.
Ricky, Bet would be a winner after the 85th minute.
Oh, after the 85th, that's fine.
I thought you meant bang on the 88th minute. Yeah, I was going to say.
International says this can't count as a chance for Ahmad. He should start. Butter says, I'd have to agree, Ricky. I think we carry too many offensive-minded players, settle more defensively with players that don't lose the ball. Cheers, Ricky. International says, have to say Elang look better than our wingers. Don't get Ricky started. Gustav said, I have seen the light. Ricky's a technical director we need. Ryle says, to the panel, do you think the result gives the team confidence to win the derby at the weekend? Keep up the great work. Mordzs? Confidence to win the derby after that?
No, not any more than I had before.
Simon S says, lovely date the other night, had a nice time. Shut up. The Chronic says, Beth and Kev, Manchester legends. Ash says, they are trying to say Bruno deliberately put their hand on his own neck. on his own neck. What? That was our admin having a bit of a joke and people taking it quite seriously. Jay Stud says, guys, we have to talk about that challenge on Bruno before the last corner where he got that strangle in the neck. We did it at the start of the show. If you want to rewind, we said it should have been a red. Thomas Atkinson, member for 9 months, says, I love Kev. We all do. And the Chronicle says, roses are red, violets are blue. Beth has my heart and Manchester does have it too. That's nearly as good as Kev's song. Thank you very much for that. Thank you everyone for your super chats. Get your opinions in. Anthony Tracy says injury talk before City, yellow before Liverpool. It looks like a coincidence, but Bruno generally was injured, like you've seen that. So people trying to say he's faking that, for me, he's just running with agenda, to be honest. But vote in the poll, would you play Bruno versus City, yes or no? So far it's on 56% yes, 44% no, very 50-50. Oh. But let's talk about Amrabat, because for me, Amrabat in the first half was like, he needs to be subbed off. He's literally like, no, I can't watch this. I know he's not a fullback. Amrabat in the second half, in the midfield, pulling the strings, doing the passes. I mean, Kev, you were impressed with him second half, weren't you?
I was. You talk about a shaky start. I'm looking at that and thinking this left-back problem is such a headache at the minute, and that's why I'm sure we'll look ahead to the Manchester derby later on, but I keep looking at this left-back spot and I'm like, you know, Lindelof, I agreed with him going in with Varane, and then I'm thinking Amrabat's the only one that can play left-back. And then in the first minute, he gave what Ricky calls on his Instagram page a hospital pass to, I forget who it was now, it might have been Bruno. It might have been Casemiro again, actually. It was. That was your clip that you put on, wasn't it, the other day? And you were saying about the... And he gives this ball, and I'm thinking... But again, the thing with Amrabat, I have to say the same thing that I said with Lindelof, is that he isn't a left-back. I know he has filled in there ages ago. And the thing with Amrabat as well, which was impressive today, he's not played for a while. He's had no run of games. But he gets to a point of the game when I'm looking, and I'm like... This guy's playing left back, you know, why is he in midfield? He's on the right-hand side, he's literally everywhere. He must have covered every blade of grass today. But it was effective, and it was obviously something that the manager, you know, whether it was a tactic to get Amrabat into that midfield, but it was more evident in the second half, wasn't it? He was running riot, but the refreshing thing to see, the fact that Mainu didn't play today, was somebody on the ball spraying passes left and right, putting his foot in, and he's obviously, he's mobile, he's quicker than Casemiro, but looking ahead, I know there's talk about Amrabat, them cutting his loan deal short, but which is quite unfair because we haven't seen him have a run in his preferred position, which is going to be midfield, and you kind of look and think, Amrabat and Mainu, you know, that could have some balance to it, and we'll never know until we actually seen it tried and tested. But yeah, I look at it, and I think the one thing that Mainu needs in that midfield is legs and energy. And from what I've seen from Amrabat in the second half, I'm thinking, yeah, it.
I agree, Kev. I actually said weirdly, I didn't even know Amrabat was going to start today. I said a few days ago, because obviously it looks like Amrabat's going to go back to Fiorentina, that's the news. I said, for me personally, okay, yeah, so far in the United shirt, he's not really been impressive. If anything, he's actually been quite poor, but he's had a few decent games. But I don't think he's had a proper chance. Like, he came in with no pre-season, on an injury, got rushed back to fitness because we were in an injury crisis, then played full-back half fit, out of the team, you know, plays a little bit, and I thought that Liverpool game he did really well, and, you know, few decent performances, few iffy performances, okay. Comes back in again after not playing for ages, full-back. he was dodgy. He's not a fullback. He's not really got that sort of pace that you need. But when he was in the midfield in the second half, he was doing really well. Like, obviously, I know he wasn't playing as a midfielder, but he was inverting to that position. And he was finding these sweeping passes really well, and he was anticipating well. And I think to myself, like, everybody needs a run in a team to see what they're actually like. And he's not had a consistent run. If he could get that, you know, he might be decent. I stand by it, and people say it to me all the time. When he was at Fiorentina, when he played for Morocco, he was a very good player. We had Romano on the show saying he's like, people in Italy think he's very good. Like, you don't just lose that overnight. Okay, sometimes you don't work in different leagues. But I don't think he was given a fair shot, to be honest. But Mordzs, obviously, I don't think he literally, like, you know, tore it apart today. But I think that second half performance, he was really influential. And would you also think about him for City?
Oh, for City? I mean, as a fullback, like you said, I think because he was so inverted, and he obviously he's playing in the midfield. He's playing pretty much everywhere. I saw him all over the pitch. It kind of reminded me of when he first had his first run of games, and I thought he was playing very well. His first few games, he played amazing, and like you said, it kind of just drifted away. But the way I look at it for City is, if he was to play left back, that is a huge liability against a team like City. Because he's not going to come into the midfield like he did today and be able to play like he did against City. That's not happening. We're not going to have the ball at all. You know what I mean? So if we're expecting Amrabat to come and do what he did today against City, forget about it. That's not going to happen. So we're going to need a player who can play as a fullback and play a lot more, be a bit more confident, a bit more sturdy, someone who can shut up shop when City are, you know, constantly passing it through their midfield and trying to break the lines. We're going to need someone who's a bit more confident in defence. I don't see Amrabat as that player. And also, I'm expecting Mainoo to come back into midfield, so at least there's a bit more protection, a bit more balance in that midfield when Mainoo comes back. I don't know who's going to play full-back. I mean, it's probably going to be, I don't know, Lindelof, maybe Evans might come in defence. But yeah, I wouldn't play him at left back. I just feel like he's still a bit of a liability, 100% against a team like City.
I agree in the sense I wouldn't play him at full back against City. Like, he's a midfielder. It's just like he's not going to be able to get into that midfield for City because Casemiro's just scored a really important goal for us, and Mainoo plays over him. So, and unless Bruno is injured, and then you kind of consider it. Honestly, if Bruno is injured, I'd play Cassie, Mainoo and Amrabat. I wouldn't play McTominay, like, genuinely. Like.
I wouldn't play McTominay.
So, but Ricky, Amrabat, thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with everything you've said. Yeah, it's been really shaky first half, but he looked pretty. Look, I like him anyway. I've seen enough of him during was it the World Cup the World Cup. I liked him during that. I watched the games. Is it Morocco that he plays for? I watched all the games, and he looked sturdy. And that's why I was pleased when we signed him. When he first played for us, though he played at left back a couple of times, he did okay, but I wasn't convinced by him at left back early doors, and that's why that experiment's been dropped for ages. He's been in the squad and fit at times with Lindelof at left back, with Reguilon I know Reguilon is a left back, but that experiment's gone. But they've tried it again today. But they've tried it along with this idea, which again we mentioned this last week because we saw Dalot doing it last week. What City have started doing, really, that's the first time I've seen a football team play where your fullbacks. I've always thought fullbacks are supposed to get round the outside of your wingers, or maybe inside your wingers occasionally, but not go and join in playing in midfield. Yeah, I don't know. I think
we've seen that with Casemiro, didn't we?
Yeah, exactly.
When Pep brought that in.
Zinchenko does it at Arsenal.
Yeah, as well. So the thing is, when you've got Amrabat playing at fullback, at least he is really a midfield player. So it is a bit easier for him. Yeah. That was what it wasn't so much Dalot last week. It was Lindelof. Yeah. Lindelof against Fulham. I mentioned. He was in. I'm thinking it's one thing asking a fullback to actually start joining in midfield. But now we've got a centre-back who we're playing at left-back, out of position, and asking him to play it in a way that you wouldn't normally play. Do you know what I mean?
It's all over the place.
But Amrabat, it's a bit more comfortable for him because he is a full-back. But as Mordzs says, we can't expect that to happen against City.
No, because on a few...
He certainly did well.
A few occasions in the first half where he got the ball not past him. I know their front three, aren't the slowest, but... You've seen Amrabat in a foot race and he just looks so uncomfortable, chasing back to goal, and you're thinking, And then you start looking ahead to Sunday and thinking, oh my God, yeah, it's like, we know left back is our weak spot, like you've just said. Depending on whether Harry Maguire's back or whatever, maybe Lindelof goes back to left back, which again, it doesn't fill you with loads of confidence, but I think I would actually prefer. I think I would actually prefer him
defensively. Yeah.
From what I've seen this evening, to Amrabat as a left back anyway.
I thought it's weird because I think Amrabat's better at going into that midfield spot than what Lindelof is, but defensively, which is what you need to think about.
But we're going to have to be defensively secure at the weekend. Yeah.
Martin Saunders says people can say what they want about Bruno, but he'll play with his leg hanging off for the badge, unlike Rashford. Lloyd James says, what about Mainu in Bruno's position? Anthony, we spoke about that maybe before. Anthony Tracy, I've done that one. Wondershot says, what's your first priority in transfer in the summer? Centre-back or a striker, in my opinion.
Yeah, where do you
Probably
start?
Striker, to be honest. CJ Moulton says, that win was sweet. Thank you very much. Thomas Atkinson, I love Kev. Simon S says, Ricky, fancy a coffee. Beth is old news, heartbreak. He'll take you up on that. Anthony Tracy says, Amrabat had a good World Cup, one-hit wonder. Butter Dog says, Beth on point. Amrabat needs a run of games. He grew into the game. I do think he did grow into the game. I agree with you on that. Jonathan's interesting part, the bus versus City, Amrabat, Mainu and Cassie. Wouldn't be upset about it. But let's talk about somebody who, when he plays well, I have a good day because people stop coming from my head. So, very solid few games in a row now, ever since New Year really, for Andre Onana, and it's been like a weight lifted off my shoulders, to be honest with you guys. I mean, talking about the defence, Onana was solid again. Lindelof, I actually thought, came in and did really well. Varane was decent. Dallo, consistent as usual. But Onana did get man of the match in Mark's player ratings mods. I mean, are you a lot more comfortable with him now than you were when he first came in?
Oh yeah, 100%. I feel like everyone is, to be fair. He's the one player that I could say he has improved so much from the start. Probably improved the most out of everyone. Which is a bit surprising because he's the one guy that when he came in, I thought he was going to elevate us because of the level that he'd already played at. He was one of the best players in the Champions League last season, goalkeepers in the Champions League last season. So the fact that he came in and he was so poor, now I'm seeing him, I'm thinking, okay, I'm a lot more confident. And one of the problems that I had with Onana was the fact that when it comes to saving, distribution, cool. I think he's still great. I don't know if people still disagree with that, but I still think he's a great passer of the ball, especially when it comes to trying to get us on a counter-attack quickly to like Garnacho or Rashford. But it was when it comes to saving, I just always used to think, is he gonna, is he set in the right place, or is he gonna parry it back into danger, or is he gonna just miss an easy save where it's just the most simple save in the world, but he's gonna, I don't know, try and flap at it and it goes through his hands. But today, I mean, I've heard a few people say that some of the saves were easy saves, but I don't think they were easy saves. And I think they're very easy to mess up, especially when it's coming straight at you and, the box is full of players and they might, shoot straight at your face, or it might be like just above your head. They're not easy saves, in my opinion, and they're ones that you can very easily mess up. But he dealt with all of them. And in my opinion, he saved us quite a few times in this game. So I'm definitely a lot more confident in him. And, all the people that are still asking for buying there and all that, I think that's got done now. We still want.
I agree. I always said at the time, and I know it was hard to look past because he was making mistake after mistake, but to come in and be the number one for United, it always is going to take a period of adaptation. Like, it really is. It's one of the... Gary Neville said it's the hardest position to play in football. Hopefully, he is settled now and he will continue to play well. Not like, he could have a slip up again, I'm not saying he won't, but this is the Onana I was hoping for. He's still not quite at the level I know he can be, but this is the Onana I was hoping for. So I'm happy about that. I mean, Kev, Varane and Lindelof centre-back pairing, I thought they were decent, did you?
I did, yeah. Like I say, before the game, I'm thinking, is Lindelof going to play left back? How's this going to work? But then it was obviously Amrabat that went out on the left, but no problems at all. Again, it's kind of looking to the weekend, and you're kind of thinking we've got a bigger test. It depends. You think of the game last season at the Etihad, it was a bit of a disaster, wasn't it? Well, I'll say a bit of a disaster, but we look at it and defensively we're going to have to be solid. You know, we're going to have a game plan, and it could well be, again, I don't know what's going to happen with Harry Maguire, but yeah, I thought Lindelof and Varane were steady today, really good.
You said in the game, Ricky, that you think Lindelof is our best centre-back, did you say?
Just about, yeah. Yeah, he's. I think he's better than Varane. I think he's better than Maguire. Maybe he's not as good as Johnny Evans. I'd say he's better than Martinez. He's bigger, bit quicker, stronger.
I think
his passing's crisper.
Who's better than Martinez?
You just said Lindelof is.
Wow.
He also thinks he's better than Varane.
I think Lindelof is vastly underrated. He's sharp. His touch is good. His calmness on the ball. I heard you doing the show, Beth, when you were talking about us not having enough players who spread calmness in the team. Lindelof's one who does when he plays at centre back, not when he plays at left back, perhaps. And Johnny Evans as well when he plays at centre back.
So long term, you'd see like Lindelof as a first team player at United, not a squad player, as some people would say. He's
How old is he now? Because I love Johnny Evans, but he's 35.
I think he's like,
yeah.
You know, if we had a big game tomorrow and Johnny Evans was fully fit, he'd be in my team. But that's no good for 2 years' time, is it? Or 3 years' time?
He's 30 in July.
Lindelof's fine, yeah, absolutely. Got no problem with him playing at all. I thought he was excellent last season when Martinez was out and we got to the cup final. Martinez was missing for ages, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Lindelof was playing all the time, and he plays both sides. He covered for Martinez while he was out. He covered for Varane while he was out. And anybody watching that game tonight, if you don't think that he was better than Varane tonight, I don't know what you're watching. I mean, he's just so calm on the ball.
They both played well.
Yeah, they both played well, but Lindelof's better. Lindelof's better. I've got no doubt in my mind. No doubt.
Well, yeah, that's Ricky on centre-backs. I don't think us three agree. I think Lindelof's a good third choice to have. I think he's a good rotational centre-back to have. Yeah. But, yeah, I don't think he's a long-term starter, but definitely a good third choice to have, in my opinion. But, Ricky, love your analysis, as always.
Can I just come
back to...
And
he did play well tonight.
Sorry to come back, but on Onana, the one thing I've always said in his defence is... Well, you look at how many different centre-back pairings have we had at Manchester United this season.
Defence
must be 20 plus, yeah, just for the centre-backs. Then you're talking about your right-back, yeah, Dallow's kind of hammered that down, but you've had Wan-Bissaka who's been out, Luke Shaw's now out. And I've always, Inter Milan, as you were just referring to then, you know, the Onana of Inter Milan, look at the back line that he played with, how steady that was. That's a relationship that comes over years. Onana's not got or had that base, so in his defence, probably the fact we're not talking about him every week on the United stand is a great thing. You know, it's keep the wolf from the door kind of thing, but he's, I was going to sound like Roy Keane and say he's doing his job, but he is now. Yeah. And I thought it was quite fitting the other week, before we played Aston Villa, Emery come out before the game. They said, who's the player that you're kind of fearful of United? He actually said Onana, and he said everything good comes basically from Onana. If we can cut this out, which a lot of people, I raised my eyebrows when I heard it. I thought, what's he on about, Onana? You know, like the danger man. But then when you heard him actually start to break it down, and he was like, if we can cut off that supply, the passing into midfield, breaking lines and stuff, and I thought, it's quite interesting that, and especially when you've got a Manchester derby coming up this weekend where, you know, Onana is going to be quite pivotal to how we set up and play. Not necessarily saying time wasting and stuff, but when he's got the ball at his feet, you know, making the right decisions. We've seen him do it against City in the Champions League final last season, but it's whether it all comes together at the weekend, really.
Yeah, it's a elite manager saying that as well. It shows, doesn't it? But DK Trade says 3-5-2 against City. Antony left wing back, Dallo right wing back, Amrabat, Mainu, Casemiro, McTominay and Ahmad up top. All right. Joseph Finch says, I believe Mainu could play in Bruno's position with Casemiro and Amrabat holding if Bruno misses. I see Mainu maturing into that role in the future. Thank you for your super chats. Also, the poll on whether Bruno should play against, would you play Bruno against City considering his injuries and everything? 58% said yes, 42% said no. So the community is still in favour of playing Bruno there, which...
Quite close, though.
Just about.
Yeah, it's closer than what I would expect. But I want to talk about the goal scorer, Casemiro. So, Casemiro this season, bear in mind he's been injured quite a bit of it, 5 goals, 2 assists. Obviously, he is slowing down, and the system we play doesn't exactly cater to him, especially considering, you know, the loss of pace, and sometimes he's a bit rash in there, but he can get you a clutch goal, can't he, Mordzs?
Yeah, definitely. He's done it a couple of times this season as well, to be fair. This ain't the first time. So I don't think anyone's really surprised that Casemiro has you know, was the player to get a kind of last-minute goal like this. Because like I said, he's done it before, so it's something that he's shown us. But I feel like with Casemiro, it's a bit of a weird one because I genuinely don't think he had the greatest game either. Like, I think he got the man of the match or something. I remember hearing that he got the man of the match.
They give him man of the match because he scored the goal.
Yeah, just because he scored the goal. But
Rashford got loads of them last season, didn't he, Ricky?
But I think overall, I don't think he had the greatest game as well.
Do you know what Casemiro is? He's a great cup game player.
Yeah.
Like, I swear he scored quite a few games in the cup. He scored us the goal to win us the Carabao Cup final, like the first goal anyway, off a set piece.
Yeah.
He has them moments that he can step up.
Yeah, exactly what you're saying. He has. I mean, he's a big game player. He's played probably the most big games I've ever run in the whole team.
Yeah.
So he's been in those positions. He's got that experience where he's not phased, he's not nervous. It's a Carabao Cup game. He's played Champions League finals, multiple of them. So he's obviously a lot more confident than everybody else. That's why he's probably been the one to get these kind of late goals. But like I said, overall performance, I think it's the same story as probably like the last game. Giving away the ball a couple of times, still not got the legs on him. He's a bit lucky that Amrabat was playing in that midfield role as well, because
It helped him a lot
because he was giving him those legs where McTominay probably wasn't. You know, McTominay wasn't keeping the ball as much. Amrabat was the one spraying it across. Those passes that we expect Casemiro to be making, Amrabat was making them. So
I agree with you. I think
Played a few crossfield balls,
I think
didn't he?
a lot of people like kind of didn't notice like Amrabat was covering a lot of that position, not only with the passing but just having a body there to close down the space as well. So yeah,
I think there was a few instances today where people went past him and he pulled out, and I didn't know until I actually heard, you know, when we see him get a yellow card sometimes it kind of ruins his rhythm and game, doesn't it? Because that is what his game is all about. But if he'd have got a yellow card this evening, he would have missed the quarter-final, which was potentially at the time. Obviously now it is penciled in for Liverpool. Yeah. So if he'd have got a yellow card this evening, that would have ruled him out for that game. So you never know in his head, you know, has he got that playing on his mind and think, you know, he's going through that game thinking, I can't make any silly challenge. Because there was an instance in the first half where somebody skipped past him and I'm looking thinking, bloody hell. But he literally just like shook his head and he was like, I'm not touching him, I'm not going anywhere near him. Whereas usually he might just take one for the team and think I've got to wipe him out, but maybe he had that in his mind.
That was really good to bring up actually, Kev, because I forgot about that. So fair play to Casemiro because we know it's hard for him to not get a yellow. But also, Ricky, finally a good crossing from Bruno, eh?
A good cross.
For the a good ball in.
Yeah, it was a good ball in. Yeah, I was thinking of crosses from the flanks. Dalot got a couple of good crosses in from the flanks, didn't he?
God,
from the free kick.
Yeah.
You've only been waiting how many years, Ricky?
This moment. It was a good ball in. It was a good ball in.
Going to be honest, Bruno's corners have to improve, but that was a good ball in when we needed it. And also, what I really wanted to bring up, that early set piece we did where Antony hit the bar.
Yeah.
The way we worked with Garnacho, and we're saying, isn't it ironic that Eric Ramsey leaves at the City game, like our set piece coach, and we finally put a good one together. But that could have worked. I want to see more of that in the future.
Yeah.
But Faz actually sent me a message, reminded me that he wanted me to read out on the show. Faz isn't here with us today, he's back for the derby. But he said, they kept saying Dalot can't cross and people need to open their eyes and watch the football he plays. He was solid yet again. Manchester United are lucky Dalot is here. Our most consistent player over every week, every minute. This isn't sustainable football, but the ability in scoring late on is massive for any team, so I'm really happy with that. Let's keep pushing forward. Nice little chat to bring in.
That boy loves Dalot, doesn't he?
Faz, I want to say you're a cheapskate for not putting it in a super chat, but I'm joking. We do miss you, but Dalot consistency cannot, honestly, so consistent, and we're just happy to move on to the next round. So
he had an off day the other day, didn't he, against Fulham?
Yeah, I thought.
He had a few poor passes against Fulham.
We let Faz know about that.
But I do like Dalot. I do like him, and I think he is generally pretty good.
Yeah. So. And let's move on now to talk about our man of the match and also the City game. If you have any thoughts you have on how the City game is going to go, how you'd set up for it, get in your super chat to the last bit of the show. But man of the match is everyone. Ricky.
Victor Lindelof.
Knew it was coming.
Onana.
Onana. Yes, okay.
This is going to be really different. You know, I'm going to go Amrabat.
Ooh.
You really were impressed with him, weren't you? I heard you talking about him in the commentary.
And because he was playing left back, not preferred position, I'm just going to go something a little bit different. But the way he set about that second half, then all action, and I thought he covered Casemiro like really well. I'm going to go for that. He just offered us something different in the middle, I thought. As Ricky would say, you know, he used the ball well, kept hold of it, but just spraying the passes out left and right, and I think just to be slightly different.
Yeah, it's fine, it's fair shout.
I think they're all good shouts, but I'm going to go with Onana as well. You know, got
there
him.
we go.
But isn't it weird that a lot of the chat are saying Amrabat as well, Kev? Yeah. You're saying Amrabat, and yet we're still saying he's not going to start against City, which is a bit...
Different game.
Yeah, horses for courses and all that.
But, so anyway, let's talk a little bit about the derby, obviously, on Sunday. We actually do have for you guys a special show tomorrow night, 8 p.m, where it is a live derby preview. We have a City fan, we have some special guests, like make sure you stay tuned for it. It's going to be good. So let's talk a little bit now just to round up the show. But has anybody got any confidence going into this game?
The
silence is deafening.
The confidence I'll get, right, will be this weekend will come up, all the build-up, we'll obviously do this show tomorrow night, then it'll get to Saturday, there'll be nerves, and then, I'll have the red-tinted specs on, I'll get this false sense of where my heart overrules my head, and I will absolutely 100% believe that we can do something, and we might not. We're gonna have to do what we probably did against Liverpool. It's going to be ugly, it won't be great to watch, but how can we match him? We can't go toe-to-toe with him, can we? We can't just go out and say, just go for it, lads. You know, it won't work like that.
Gonna be honest, I have zero hope for Sunday. I think they will beat us. And it's actually, I mean, I don't want to say it, but it sounds bad. I'd take a low-scoring loss just to not get battered.
Like a 1-0.
To be embarrassed, you mean?
That's where I'm at right now. But one positive I will say, as I said it before the show, I'm not afraid to say it. Clip me up, I don't care. I think we're going to beat Liverpool in the quarters of the FA Cup. I don't know why, I just have a weird feeling, just like I did about the 88/9th minute. But Mordzs, City game, are you doing what we did at Anfield and just, you know, putting everyone behind the ball?
You have to. If Ten Hag was to try and set up to go toe-to-toe with Man City, the way they are right now, I think they're still unbeaten this year. And that's a real unbeaten, not like our unbeaten. It's like they're winning confidently against a lot of these teams. I mean, they just destroyed Luton, what was it, 5-1? Or 6-1? 6-2. And Haaland scored, 5 goals, and De Bruyne got 4. Like, they're taking these teams apart that we're struggling against. So it's like, how are we going to go toe-to-toe with a team like this? And I'm usually optimistic anyway, but genuinely, I'm trying to find a way. I'm still trying to think of a way to be optimistic.
Do you know what's mad? City were only just like winning a few games recently. They were winning a couple 1-0s and then like last-minute goals.
They beat Bournemouth 1-0. They beat Brentford 1-0.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't see the games, but I'm assuming both of those teams set themselves up to be difficult to beat.
Brentford did really well.
Everybody behind the ball and just try and make it really, really difficult for City to get that first goal. If Brentford can do it and if Bournemouth can do it, surely to God we can do it.
Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah. You just got to have a game plan.
And maybe even take it a bit further, a bit deeper. I don't know when they scored, maybe the 70th minute or something. Maybe we can get to the 85th minute and then who knows?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Who knows?
Yeah.
Kev just give each other the eyes there.
But yeah, I think if you set up, I think if you, like you said, if you just set up tactically the right way, I don't think we should go out there and play how we would normally play against any other team. We should definitely go out there with a specific game plan just for Man City to try and hold them off.
What we need to do is, do you remember Ander Herrera on Eden Hazard? Do you remember Fred on De Bruyne last season at
home?
Not away. At home. And at the end of the day, Haaland needs service, right? And Haaland's, by the way, is unbelievable. But he needs service. De Bruyne is his assister. He put on the Insta today, how may I assist you? Fair play. You got 4 assists and 4 goals in the first half of the game. Like, that is incredible. But we need to make sure we have somebody who's following De Bruyne all game. Cutting off them passes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll think about that.
What did you say? Who would do it?
Who's following Foden? Like?
Yeah.
Or who's following Foden?
And then it's who's following.
But that's a little bit different. Like, De Bruyne is the guy in the middle that is pulling the strings. He is probably like one of the best players that's ever played in the Prem. That sounds horrible to say, but it's true. Like, we've got to have someone on him. Who do you have it as? Some people in the chat are saying it should be Amrabat. Who's it going to be? Because somebody's got to.
If somebody's going to man mark Kevin De Bruyne,
I'd have someone doing it, wouldn't you?
I wouldn't do that, to be fair. Only because I feel like you man mark De Bruyne and it just kind of leaves a bit.
They've got too many good players, haven't they?
They've got too many good players. And
the
only way you can man mark a player is if one of your midfielders do it, which means that we're going to end up being lost. We're going to be lost in the midfield anyway, but you take away a whole midfielder to mark De Bruyne, then now you've got 2 midfielders left who have to deal with Bernardo Silva, you have to deal with Doku, you have to deal with Foden, you have to deal with Rodri, you have to deal... It makes it even more difficult, so I'd rather set up...
And then all they're going to do is switch and they go, hey lads, look who's playing left back here, let's bomb down this side.
I'd rather they set up more like zonally, so it's more like you take this area. If anyone's in your area, you deal with them. I know that sounds a bit mad,
because United are so good at marking areas.
Yeah.
Our midfield's like a gaping hole.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
If you're going to put one person on Kevin De Bruyne to shadow him throughout the game, it can only be Scott McTominay.
I knew that was coming.
He can.
Bring back
Casemiro hasn't got the legs. Amrabat hasn't got the legs. Eriksen hasn't. I'm thinking in midfield. Maybe Kobe, but do you want to give a young lad that job?
No.
Cobbie's
too good on the ball. You need him on the ball. I do agree with you. Like, probably it'd either be Amrabat or McTominay you'd have to give that job to. It just depends what formation we're going to play. I assume we'll play back 4, like we have to. And then who's going to play? Is Bruno injured? So much on this.
So many headaches to think about, isn't there really? Like you say, it's all great
we'd
saying...
We'd probably be better off without Bruno.
Eh?
We'd probably be better off without him.
Just throwing an extra man in midfield?
We need the more defensive midfield players, yeah. Don't think about, he might do this or he might do that. Creative-wise, forget that. It's entirely about stopping them. If you've got a player who's better at stopping, you want him in that position.
No, we did a good job at Anfield against all the odds. Yeah. Nobody gave us a hope. I think we all predicted that United would not get anything from that game at Anfield, and yet we really pissed the Scousers off because they got really annoyed. But that wasn't our fault that they could not score against us. He was fuming, all this nonsense, we parked the bus. But again, what were we supposed to do at that time? We got beat 7-0 there last year. So, we're not going to go and just play open football and lie down and then have Jurgen Klopp at the end carrying on, going, oh yes, that's the way to play football. He always says that, whenever anyone gives it a go at Anfield, they get Brentford or Bournemouth or whoever it is, and that's the spirit of football. I'm like, it's not, mate. It's all right for you because you just beat them, but it doesn't work like that. We knew we couldn't go toe-to-toe with Liverpool then. The same way, I don't think we cannot do that against Manchester City. It's football. It'd be crazy to try and do that. Very naive, and I'm sure Erik Ten Hag for 1 minute doesn't think he's got the players or the system or whatever to go out there and try and, even to probably get the 3 points to set out. We've just got to go and be solid and compact.
Is there any light at the end of the tunnel for Højlund being fit?
Doubt it.
No.
I think he's out for a couple
of weeks.
I think he'll be back for that Liverpool quarter-final game, though. We'll see. I wish he was fit, though.
You make a huge difference.
We need somebody working hard up top. We can't.
Sid T says, same game plan as Anfield, Cassie, Mainu, McTominay. Just what Ricky said. One thing I would say is I watched Rashford's when he went and saw D Block Europe. Has anyone seen that video?
Oh,
and they asked him who his favourite teams, favourite places to play were, and he said apart from obviously Old Trafford, Etihad or Anfield. So hopefully he'll be up for it. Jesus Alonso, City gonna batter us worse than my... Oh, God.
Let me see this.
I hope that's a joke. If not, then I'm so sorry. Maybe ring a helpline.
Where is it? Let me see it. Jeez,
sorry about that, Jesus. So sorry. God, that's awful. Please seek help if that is true. KFJ990 says, we are the type of team to win against City, then lose to Everton and Sheffield United. That's the prediction. Well, our game against Sheffield United will be moved because we're playing Liverpool that weekend now. But thank you, everyone, for your super chats. And also, please remember live derby rival show tomorrow at 8 p.m. And obviously the next video out will be marked 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. I mean, thank you everyone for staying the whole length of this stream. I know we watch from multiple corners of the world, but wherever you are, big shift today. Football again, you know, we all deserve an award for not falling asleep in them games, but we got it over the line. Casemiro got the header and we fight to live another day. Silverware is still on for Manchester United this season. It is still on. Could you imagine, by the way, after the rinse in Ten Hag side, he did trophies back to back?
Imagine.
Could you imagine that? Please. But anyway, Kev, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much. Enjoyed it.
Mordzs,
cheers.
build-up show, first one, and for him, loved it.
Cheers, thank you.
And Ricky, off on your holidays for the Liverpool game, Cat.
Oh, I'm devastated about that. I've been booked for ages, but I thought we was playing Sheffield United. I never knew it was a cup weekend.
Oh, yeah, because it's been
Commitment
changed.
has to be better. Make sure you like your video on the way out. Like the video on the way out. Thank you very much. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your week. We'll be back all throughout the week with different things. Derby's on next. I mean, get your predictions in down below. Have a lovely night, everyone. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much.